Well, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Recovery Live. My name's Tom. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Good morning for all our California attendees, and let's see, lunchtime for us here on the East Coast, and evening for everybody from the UK. So just welcome everyone here. March 25th. We're really getting ready to head into summer here in New Jersey. We can't wait for the warm weather to come. We've had a great couple of weeks. Sean's been on vacation, but he is back on the show today. So I'd love to welcome my co-host, Sean Higgins. How are you, brother? How was vacation?
Oh, I'm in a deep state of mourning to have to come back. It was beautiful. It was awesome. Had a wonderful time, connected with my family, completely ditched out on the cell phone and the computer, went to Orlando, just soaked in the sun, went to Disney World, saw Mickey Mouse, pretty epic. You can't touch him though yet. You couldn't give him the hug that I'm used to giving him. They made me social distance.
You wanted to touch Mickey?
I did. One of the highlights is just snuggling up with one of your childhood heroes,
I don't know. But, well, that's good. I guess you needed recharge time. That's good. We were tracking you on some of your Facebook posts, seeing that you were down there. We were off working around. I had been in California and then back home here. We had done a couple of episodes. We've been kind of working, Sean, towards our choice versus addiction model. And then we did a whole thing on harm reduction. We got great special guests today coming on from City Team. We're going to bring her on in a minute to talk about, meeting people where they're at and just about what's going on out there in City Team California and some of the other things that are going. Let's welcome a few of our viewers. Alicia Peluso is watching today, Sean.
Woo-hoo,
here's Alicia. Doc is with us. Tim Seitz, Kelly Maloney. Hi, everybody. Hey guys, in the feed, tell us where you're from. We'd love to know. Doc is from Las Vegas. I know that Alicia is from New Jersey. There's one thing with Alicia though that we're trying to get her straight, Sean. Alicia, well, she is wrong that it's pork roll, egg, and cheese. She's one of these who won't fall that it's Taylor ham, egg, and cheese.
You always are trying to drag me into your regional debate over flipping spam. It's like, dude, I'm not you. You had me all like I thought I was coming for high quality meat when you told me about this stuff. Like you told me eggs Benedict, you got to have whatever you call it, tailored ham. And I'm thinking like, in my head, I'm like tailored ham. Like this is like a tailored suit. Like this is like ham to the next level. And it was just spam, dude. I was disappointed.
We got Nebraska in the house, guys. We got Utah in the house. We have Kent, Great Britain following us. We have Alicia. You're just wrong. It's not pork.
No, this is Amy. Here we go.
Oh no, Amy.
If you look up,
you don't know.
If you look it up, they could no longer legally call it tailored ham because it wasn't really ham. So they had to change the name to pork roll. So legally the name is pork roll because of how poor quality of meat it actually is, that it doesn't even qualify as ham, which I think if you're talking about pig meat, ham in and of itself is pretty poor quality meat. And now you're going to tell me that this delicacy of you and your New Jersey friends is this trash meat that you're trying to push on all of us here at Recovery Live, and we just don't want to hear about it.
We need Tim Anderson on. If you're out there, you got to come on, brother. If you come on.
Who's this? Spam.
No, we'll give Tim a link and bring him on live if he shows up.
Yeah, even Alicia, glorious spam.
Yeah.
Hey, you got an Arizona mug.
I do. Enough of this silliness. We, Casera, although I will say this, Casera, she's in the back stage right now. We can consider Casera becoming the new co-host and Sean going away because Casera will say it's Taylor ham, I'm sure.
That your audience would you'd be in such a niche market at that point. You'd have, I'm with Tim Seitz here, beef. Right. If the qualification to co-host Recovery Live is that you call a crap meat pork roll, I don't know the direction this show's headed in. I might have to just resign.
Well, we have it. It is silly, guys, but we are not a glum lot. And this is what we talk about now that we don't drink and drug anymore. We spend a half hour talking about meat. Well, it's better after we went to the gym, right? Well, it's wonderful. All right, well, let's get to it today. Well, let me do a couple of quick announcements, and we'll do them again later. And then we're going to bring Melody on, and we're going to bring Kasera on today because we need some balancing against Sean. And
Hey,
she's
before you go crazy
dying.
before you bring the guests on though, do your deal. But let me hook up the T-shirt giveaway stuff too.
Okay, perfect. Guys, if you are first time on here, Came to Believe Recovery, what we do is we present the program of the founders in a weekend retreat format. We take you through the steps in 3 days. We do 1 through 9 once and live on 10, 11, and 12. It's what they were doing back in the 30s that was most successful. If you've chosen to take the path of working the Alcoholics Anonymous program, if that's the way you want to try it, we can help you with how they really did it back then and see that the freedom that they got, those that tried it, we have had such great experience over 50 years. So you can go to our website, check out the retreat dates. We have 2 coming up in California, Mother's Day weekend in Loma Mar, California at Redwood Glen. A week later, actually, we're going to have one in Amory, Wisconsin, actually Clear Lake, and Leesburg, Florida in the middle of May. Then the next week, we're back in Nevada City in California. We're going to be back at City Team, where we're going to bring Melody on here in just a second in June, I believe. And then, Sean, we had a meeting with Tim Doyle yesterday for Kansas City, Missouri. So that's a new one where we're going to send a team in. So lots of stuff like every weekend going on. Going on our website, check it out. We'd love you guys to ask questions in the online here. We'll answer them any way you can. But we're off giving a life-changing experience. There's Tim Anderson, Taylor Ham in the house. We love that. Yeah, baby.
I wish I had a dog in the fight. You're so passionate about this. I wish I was there.
And all right, let's bring. I want to welcome my new friend, and she's a little crazy.
You promised. Wait. You promised. Hey, you promised me time to talk about the shirts.
All right, talk about the shirts.
You keep dogging me on. Okay, I got my End Addiction shirt on today. How about you?
I have End Addiction as well.
Ooh, the gray one.
Yeah.
Some would say, well, who wore it better? I think that's what we got to do in the comment section. Who wore it better, Sean or Tom? But we do have a lot of merchandise. I'm drinking out of my non-tumbler today, a little water. I actually poured a can of sparkling water in there because I'm bougie like that. That's kind of where I'm at in life. So that was my way of utilizing my water bottle today. But we got tumblers. We got all sorts of stuff. Where's my little video? Here we go. Got a little deal here. Look at, woo, CameToBelieveRecovery.org/shop. You can get yourself long sleeves, short sleeves, hoodies, shirts with End Addiction, shirts with I Am Recovered, water bottles with Came to Believe Recovery on there. There's nothing better than walking into your local meeting and setting this baby on the table. Boom, smash it down. Hey, what's that? Oh, this thing? It's this group I'm a part of. We believe in the old school way of doing the 12 steps, and we had an 83% success rate after people have been through one retreat. So I think buying this merchandise up to help support sponsorships and all that good stuff that's involved with Came to Believe Recovery would be a great way to spend your paycheck. It is Friday. You probably just got a fat deposit. Why don't you head on over to Came to Believe Recovery and scoop up some merch. We do give a shirt away at the end of every show, except for the one time I screwed up and forgot to do it. But all you have to do is put hashtag recovered into whatever comment section you're a part of, whether you're a YouTuber. I know we're live on Twitter. I don't think we have a Twitch account, but that'd be cool once we get that. And then Facebook, anything you want to get on, put a comment in. Look at the entries are going up. At the end, we'll draw your name. You'll get to be an official Recovery Live winner. There'll be confetti. It'll flash across the screen. It's just an epic moment in all of history, and you'll get to be a part of that, immortalized into the winners club of Recovery Live. So that's all I got. Hashtag recovered in the comment section.
Great. All right.
You're free to do whatever you'd like now.
All right. Well, we Sean and I met Melody when we went out to do the City Team event. Melody is the director, if I say that correctly, I think, of the House of Grace, which is the women's program that's connected with City Team. And we just had a great time. I think it was a great result. We went out and there's some really great work going on out there. And Melody's really it's impressive, and she's someone that you're really humbled around her, because not many people could do what she does. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Melody on. Welcome, Melody. I guess I'll do it.
Good morning.
Hi, Melody.
Hi. Glad to be with you guys.
Melody, if I butchered your introduction or your title, you can let us know. But why don't you let all the our viewers know just what you do for the House of Grace out there. And what is the House of Grace at City Teams in San Jose?
Yeah, House of Grace is our women's program. We work with women, single women, women with children 5 and under who are struggling with substance abuse. We're a year-long program that provide, the recovery tools, as well as, life skills and career building. And really our goal is to see our women come in, get recovery, change, and be able to transition back into their family, back into their community. Our heart is, we're a Christ-centered program. And so we really get to share the love of Christ while we get to, as well as providing recovery tools. And so, yeah, we're all inclusive.
So Melody, when you guys, I remember when you were telling me, I think when we were out there, that all of the women that come in do have substance abuse issues when they show up.
Yeah. So, we have several different women's programs. House of Grace is primarily for substance abuse. However, they come in with so many other different challenges. Some of them are fleeing domestic violence. Some are, homelessness, a lot of trauma. So there's just different things. They're all coming in from different ages, different spaces, different situations. But the primary focus for us is overcoming substance abuse.
And, for some of you in our audience that haven't been to California or some of these, I guess, urban or areas where homelessness and addiction and things are really are really epidemic, to go visit these areas and to hear some of the stories that Melody has about it's not just who they take in it, but who they can't take it. And the sadness of the phone calls that she gets where she can't take the person in, and the limited amount of resources that there really are for the need. It's moving, and it makes us even more impassioned to be able to do what we're doing at a higher level to try to transition people back out and get people recovered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting. We see tents and people sleeping on the streets all over, and your heart just breaks. You want to be able to give those tools to these people that you see out there that are ready, that are eager for change. And typically our home has a waiting list to come in and, to be able to turn people away and say, I'm so sorry. We can't help you. That's heartbreaking. And so recently we're expanding our program to be able to do that. But the thing that I love meeting Tom and Sean and the Came to Believe team is just this idea of being able to help people recover in a way, that is so much quicker than what we've traditionally done, and be able to give the tools, and see them be able to take that and multiply it and pass it on. I mean, that is our goal. I know for each one of us, we know we can't keep what we have unless we're giving it away. So
it was really interesting because when we went out there, we did film a documentary, which isn't ready yet, but it'll be ready soon. I guess Alicia is on, and Tim, maybe they'll give us an estimate of when that will be ready. But I remember, right, Melody, when we were talking to you before the retreat that Thursday, when we were visiting the House of Grace, and asking about how you could do a 4-step in a half hour, and you really were not. You were like, that's exactly the face that you gave us. Like, you didn't know that we could do it. But once you went through it, you saw that it actually, when done the way the founders did it, you can do it. This way they did it absolutely can be done. It's
different. I got to sit with a couple of girls. I did the 5th step. That was the part that I just, was such a beautiful thing. Not only did we do our own 4 steps, but we did the 5th steps with some of our ladies, and some of the things that came out of there have changed and transformed these women. I'm like, okay, I'm a believer. Like, just seeing that brokenness and that pain. One woman had this resentment that she's been carrying for 30 years that has literally left her in bitterness, and she's a graduate from our program. And so, to see her grab this piece in that weekend and say, okay, this is that life-changing piece. You see the freedom. There's nothing like that. Finding the freedom in letting go of the resentment and being able to identify it and see just the course of someone's life change because they discovered that was the piece that they were holding on to. And it's one of our staff walked through the same thing, identified something. She's, been clean for a long time, and to be able to identify that piece in her 4-step, and she's done the 4-step many different ways, which was just amazing. And so even this last weekend, she did an amends that didn't come up. She wasn't able to identify previously. And it's, the grace that came over that, the healing that is coming through that, the freedom, you see that bondage and that stuff just break off. So anyways, yeah, I'm a believer. Yeah.
So my question, well, you really are tying right into what I have believed strongly about breaking the chains of addiction. And that is that you really got to get from point A, which is complete hopeless misery, to point B, which is freedom, relatively quick. I mean, because if you hang out in the middle, we lose a lot of addicts and a lot of alcoholics that way, even though in the beginning, when they started the process, they really wanted it. Because you see a lot of people come in who really want it, right? They really do. And if we don't get them to the freedom side fast, it takes 2, 3, 4 months, and they're kind of back to their old ways. Is that common in your industry?
Oh my goodness. More than I even want to admit, but it's the truth. I mean, it's just so much I get to see in all this, right? We had a graduate that relapsed and came back in the week that we had this recovery meeting, and she was in a psychosis when we got there. Like, she was not in her right mind, still reeling from where she came from. And, there were some things that she said through the retreat that were just, monumental. It was, that in the process before, I lost sight of what we were doing. Like, from step 1 to step 10, I didn't connect them because it was done in such a long period of time. And to me, that was like, okay, yes, that's the truth. If we're not understanding between steps 1 and 9, like if we don't understand that on a daily basis, then we're not gonna be able to live out 10, 11, and 12, right? And so just that foundation was like, those comments to me really just hit home hard,
Well, and that was interesting when I was there, and I led a 10-step small group. One of the guys that was in my group, I said, he relapsed, and I said, well, how was your 10, 11, and 12 going before you relapsed? And he said, I never made it to step 10. He had been sober for 6 months before he relapsed. So, if we don't give people the tools to live after they've decided they want to stop using, then one of the biggest tools is 10, 11, and 12. And even with my sponsees, if they haven't completed 9, they're already living on 10, 11, and 12. That's pretty much necessity right after you do 7, is to hop into something that's going to keep you in that freedom. So yeah, this has been absolutely right on track with what I strongly believe about this program. In addiction in general, I think that you take a 20-year span of addiction in a human being, there's going to be hundreds of times that if they had been presented with the program of action that we have, that they actually would have got it and stayed sober. But it comes in so small spurts for us. It's like, okay, now it's 2 a.m. and I'm laying in bed miserable. I need to do something about this. We don't have anywhere to reach out to. We don't reach out the next morning. We're using again, and that thought is gone. And it could be 6 more months before we think that thought again. And so that's a big mission of mine, is to get the message out there, because we look at addiction like broken bones, like time will heal all wounds. It's not like that. It's not a wound that needs to be healed over time. There's some parts of our addiction in our past that are going to take time to heal. But as far as the overall miracle of going from a 100% junkie to 100% free, that needs to come relatively quick. Yeah. And that we need to give them the solution and the tools relatively fast, or they're not going to heal.
No.
That was the big thing too, Sean. I saw was this hope that some of them had when I did the 5 steps with some of the people who had been, the program that they were in was very long and they had been through these. And then all of a sudden we come in and say, well, this thing can go quickly. What hope that they had, right? Because we hit them at the right time. How many times would they have jumped on that hope like that had they known? Because it was discouraging for them to think, I got to be in this for a year, right? I can't get to step 9 till 9 months. Even some of the staff was thinking that. So I totally believe that. And we knew, Sean, you're right. And Melody too. We knew some of the people weren't necessarily coming because they were ready to do this program that weekend. They came because they kind of had to, right?
Oh yeah, they had to. They needed to, but they just didn't know it yet.
But watching them turn and say, oh, wait a minute. Well, maybe I do want this, because it wasn't such an onerous process. I mean, it is got things we have to do, but it was something that led to this freedom right away. And then they got to do that healing, like you said, Sean. Then they got to go get job training, and they got to go get their life together and go get some education and put their back together, but from a whole different perspective now.
Yeah.
100%. And then you look at the model too, that a lot of people like city teams have been using, and it's all in good intentions. And it's actually, I think, more generous than even our program, because it costs so much money, is that you house these people for a year, trying to protect them from society and give them a place to heal over time, and realize that method has little to no effect either, because it doesn't matter where we are geographically. We could be in a solitary confinement, only shoved recovery stuff down our throat for a year, and it's not the process, it's not the action that's going to cause us to change.
I see two parts. I see those that can recover and transition back into life quickly and have families and jobs and all of that. And then there's the others that need that little bit more practice of living out 10, 11, and 12, and that community space to be able to, this is character defect. I need to take a look at this. Oops. Okay. That's coming up. And to be able to practically live it out is what I'm excited about. Like, I think that's meeting our people where they're at is going to be key. We have all different levels of drug use. We have people who've used for 60 years and been homeless and never lived inside, and there's a whole nother set of life skills that we get to focus on. But just to be able to take what we got out of the retreat and be able to say, okay, this is where we're going to be able to work with the women and men that we serve in a way that is unique and quick and easy, and be able to give them that, okay, you're recovered, now let's live it. Mm-hmm. How do we live it? Now, how do we walk this out? Like, that's the cool part about this.
And that's a revolutionary change in the thinking of how a lot of groups will go after addiction, because a lot of groups' goal is to get people to stop using, and that's not the goal of something like Came to Believe, and now it's never been probably the goal of city teams. But it's not very common that the goal isn't about not using. The goal is to teach people how to live. And that's the big part of why what you're talking about is going to be powerful. Yeah, you got people that'll get on the road 30 days, they're out, good to go. You got someone who has to stay 60 days because they're still learning how to live. They don't even, some of these guys come in, and girls, and they have no concept of the most minimal of common sense life stuff that we take for granted every day, that no one ever taught them. They never had a chance to learn it. And, this is a place where you can learn 10, 11, and 12, as well as some of those more fundamental and foundational life skills.
Yeah. And, but it was so impactful. I'm going to talk a minute about when I came back, after that, it was about 4 weeks after the retreat, but it was enough impactful that there's another rescue mission in California, the Bay Area mission, which is across the Bay by Oakland, Richmond, if you guys know anything about California. But they are very excited to have us come and present this same thing to their contingency, again, to try to get this jumpstart on their recovery, and then have them move forward at a different level as they're, getting their life skills and job skills and whatever back together, so that they can re-enter into society and community and be successful members of our community. And anything that we can do, we're so excited that groups like yours, Melody, that first of all, we were invited in, and that you guys all see the value of how this piece, it's just a piece of what these people need, but it's a big piece that is a foundation that then allows them to launch in. I know I needed to do it, then I went back to school. Sean, you needed to do it, and then you opened your business. With the stories go on and on and on. But we got this jump start, and then we went on our way. But that's the 10, 11, and 12 empowered us to go on our way. But somebody met us where we were at the beginning.
Amen.
So let's bring Cassara on, and we can. Well, I'll do it, right? Oh, you. There we go.
Wow, that was like
You got there.
what happened. We took the long way around on that one.
So I'd love to talk a little bit about the meeting where that last week we had a big conversation about harm reduction. And Sean, you should watch the episode. And one of the really great disarming things that I thought that that Jesse said was, we said, describe harm reduction. And I think right away, some people who have a very uneducated view of it think it's giving needles and stuff. And even now saying giving crack pipes to addicts, which is not what they're really doing, they say, but needles, and that this is da 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 da. But she started off by saying, harm reduction is wearing your seatbelt. And I thought, all right, well, I can get that. It's about minimizing the potential danger while you're doing a dangerous activity to save you. And when it was explained that way, I think it disarmed a lot of people's prejudice against what's actually happening with harm reduction as they're going out into the community, just trying to keep these people alive, to give them a chance to decide they want to come in to the House of Grace or come in to City Team. Now, Sean and I haven't done much work at this ourselves, but Cassara has. And I don't know, Melody, have you participated in a lot of harm reduction? Do you guys do that in City Team at the House of Grace?
House of Grace does not do harm reduction. However, our home for pregnant women is an area that we have started considering and working with. Obviously, our little babies are the ones that we want to save and are focusing on.
So, Sarah, you've done considerable amount of it, or I don't know if it would be considerable, but you've done it in like Patterson and some areas and I think those are some of the areas where those types of demographic feeds the places like yours, Melody, and ours. It gets people into some mission. They go someplace, anywhere. The conversation around it is really interesting.
It's been I'm open-minded. I share my piece about how I feel. I change my mind. I got different perspectives. It's been a challenging. I wouldn't say challenging. It's just been a interesting and it's just been a topic that I haven't really been fully able to wrap my head around because I'm not 100% familiar with it. And I know in the big book it's relatively harsh. I mean, it doesn't say don't stop an alcoholic from dying, but I just was reading to the employer before we did this show in the Fat Book, which we'll talk about later. I like the Fat Book, and it says, hey, you're not doing them any favors by keeping them on. If they don't want to be sober, let them go and let them hit bottom, because bottom's the only place that's really going to drive them up. And Cassara made a point to me one time about there's already a lot of consequences going on in their lives. What's the problem with keeping them alive and letting them know that they're loved? And then you're like, well, yeah, that's a pretty great point as well. But then my brain starts to run around, and because everybody just wants to do what's right. Nobody goes out and says, I want to screw everybody over. Today's the day I'm gonna ruin an addict's life, or we just all think that our method is successful because it's been successful in certain cases. And so, something that was running through my head is like, how does this apply to somebody with like an eating disorder? Like, if in the same sense as someone with a drug addiction, so what if someone was anorexic or threw up all the time? Would you give them a popsicle stick to stick down their throat so they could throw up more easily without having to put their own finger in their mouth? I mean, that's not to be condescending or to come across but just that's some of the things I think about. Like, how does this apply to other stuff?
Well, I feel like I got 3 points for you.
This is like a Baptist sermon.
No, first is from your first point about hitting bottom, because Jesse touched upon it. For a lot of people that are using, whether it be alcohol, heroin, meth, anything, PCP, whatever, their bottom is dying. We're not talking about, yes, for some people, like maybe in your stories, hitting bottom was just, my family kicked me out. I'm homeless. I don't have anything. That's your bottom. For a lot of people that are using heroin, maybe fentanyl, not realizing they're using fentanyl or realizing they're using fentanyl. Their bottom is overdosing. So they die. That means that they do not have the opportunity to hit your said bottom and find came to believe or find another pathway to become recovered. So the harm reduction is looking at it and saying, maybe one day they want to find recovery. Maybe one day they do want that. And it's just meeting them there and keeping them alive and reducing that harm so that they can came to believe retreat, find, become recovered, and then come talk about it and share how, they stuck by me and I'm alive because they helped me when I couldn't even help myself and when I wasn't ready to help myself. And it's about one of the principles on the Harm Reduction Coalition is it's non-judgmental and non-coercive. So when someone comes to you, you look at them as an autonomous being, like they have control over their body, because the point you're saying is like everyone wants to do what's right, but you don't know what's right because we don't ask. When's the last time you went up to someone using and saying, what do you need? Period. Not ... to get sober. No, what do you need? Because in that moment, maybe they just need shelter. Maybe they just need food. They're not having their basic needs met. So like finding out what they need and maybe going to someone that does suffer from an eating disorder, such as anorexia or bulimia or over-exercising, there's a reason, right? So if you sit there and ask them, what do you need? That's harm reduction, because then they're going to be like, oh, you care? Well, this is why I ended up here. Can we work on this? And then maybe slowly that will lead to them becoming recovered, wanting to go to a retreat, wanting to go through a fifth step and everything, live in the 10, 11, 12, but it's getting there. Not everyone is at a point, you're hitting a certain people where they're at a point where they're like, oh, that's something, I'm ready for that. There's a whole population of people that, as Jesse put it, they don't even know a door exists. We're saying like you're standing outside the door. These people don't know there is a door. They're in a black hole. All they see around them is darkness. They don't know. And people ignore them, so they stay in that. So harm reduction is saying, okay, I'm going to build a bridge and I'm going to reach those people. And Jesse said it perfectly. She said, when she's going to meet those people where they're at and she's going to keep helping them. And one day when they say to her, you know what, Jesse, this isn't the life for me anymore, she's going to say, I know some really great people that came to believe, and I think, you would like that. So I'm going to connect you with them. And that's that bridge. Not everyone's seeing the door and at the door. So that's the whole thing, is we need people. It doesn't have to be us. We're doing what we're doing, but some people have to be there for those, to turn the light on.
You asked me what I need in the middle of my addiction. I might have said 2 grams in a place to use it at. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And
that's okay though. That doesn't mean we're going to be like, yeah, here's 2 grams. They're going to be like, all right, is there anything? You need a meal? You need some of this? Like, but at least they're asking you as a person and not looking at you like all you are is your addiction. So how can I solve that? No, you're a whole person. So I'm sure at some point that's what you needed. But another point you'd be like, well, I haven't slept in 3 days because I've been on a bender. So maybe somewhere like a bed to sleep on would be nice right now. All right, we can do that. And then we'll talk in the morning about anything else. And in the morning, you might be like, I finally slept. Get me to a retreat because I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, we can do that. Let's do it.
Yeah, I completely can see that. Doc Roth here brings up a really good point, because, the original practice of Alcoholics Anonymous was to get someone into the hospital first, so they wouldn't die of the DTs. I love addicts. I love alcoholics. I 100% agree with, I think I can see the potential in harm reduction. Like, we should be out there so they know we're there. Like, that's the thing. If Came to Believe is out in the battlefield, giving people things like, blankets and helping them, telling them we're here to listen, when it comes time to say like, gosh, I really need a change, who are they going to think first? They're going to think of us. I just also think it boils down in addicts and alcoholics to our own self-loathing of who we used to be. Like, I can just picture someone like you, a nice girl, coming up and saying, oh, Sean, how can I help you? And then just complaining to you and using you to hear my sob story and get some money out of you and move on with my life. So it's never that. I don't think addicts, from my perspective, are saying other addicts suck and that's why you shouldn't help them. I think we look more internally and say, like, if you were around in the middle of my use, I would have just taken advantage of you, chewed you up, spit you out, and moved on the way. So, that's just, I think, the dichotomy inside of me that's battling to try to figure out where I land on the subject.
Yeah, I feel like that's what unconditional love is, though. Like, if you did that, like, no harm on me. Like, okay, you got $20 out of me. You're alive. We had a nice chat. And that's not like, that's where that non-coercive part is. I am speaking to you because I care about you and I want to help you in the way that you ask for help, even if that's telling me to F off, like, all right, bye, because that's what you asked for and you're an autonomous being. But it's like, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm not talking to you because I want you to become recovered right this second. And I want you to do what I think is best for you, because that's not what's best for you. So if you're just like, give me some money and go away, then I'm going to be like, all right, bye. Like, no harm on me. If you want to talk next week. And that's exactly what Jessie said. She's like, she's had people tell her to F off and she's just like, all right, I'll be back next week. And then the next week they're like, go away. She's like, all right, see you next week. And that week they're like, can you actually help me? Like, this is what I need. And they actually talk to her. So it's like, I'm not attached to the outcome in that manner. I'm attached to like you as a human being, and one day hoping that like you want to talk, and if not, you do you. Like, you can't latch on to that.
I think Amy sums it up just like that. Some people just want to know you care, even if they're not ready to receive the help. And I think one of the things, we started talking about this before the whole free crack pipes thing came out, but once politics get involved, then things get so distorted and the each side makes it out to be something it's not, and it's hard to get a real answer of what's going on. Because if you're like, everyone gets, it sounds really bad when you're like, Biden's going to give drug addicts free crack pipes. You're like, no, why would he do that? It's totally leaving out context and all sorts of real important information. So
I agree.
I agree with the whole harm reduction. You can't meet someone where they're at unless, you meet their basic needs. And for us, it's, clothing, shelter, hygiene, tooth pain. Like, someone comes into our program that has a hurting tooth, they can't look at a 12-step process if they can't, get through the pain that they're feeling, or, they've just lost their child and they need to, deal with the courts and legal system, and those are things that are barriers for someone, coming into early recovery that's faced with so much damage, that, hey, how do I focus on this trauma when there's these pressing things like I'm tired, I'm hungry, those simple basic things. But I love that point about, that is a part of harm reduction. Like, that's a part of meeting them where they're at, like getting them off the street. We had a woman come, years ago. She was on our waiting list for like, I don't know, it was like 2.5, 3 months. She had 3 kids. She was fleeing a domestic violence situation on the street, in the tent. The abusers were coming after her. And like, I wasn't going to be able to talk to her about anything recovery until we had her stabilized. Her kids were, fed and clothed, and she'd been able to chance to breathe. And her, I just remember that first week, the little child was here, like in fetal position in our nursery. And by the end of the first week, the love that was like poured over him, he was just like sprawled out like he was in heaven. And you see that place of just being, that ability to be able to receive and to be able to say, okay, yeah, I'm ready to walk through this process. But man, that first week too, actually I think it was more like a month before that mother was able to hear or see or do anything related to focusing on herself. And that's a harm. I love that concept of harm reduction right there in that piece. We stabilize them so that they can recover.
I mean, I would imagine, Melody, that is a big part of what you guys do with everybody that walks through the door. Is you got to get them stable, get them a place to eat, get them a shower, get them something before. And that's something that we're not doing with Came to Believe, but like, we have our place. But that spot that you guys are even further outside the door, like Sarah said, and like Jessie said, where they don't even have a concept of a door. We're going to lead them to the door once and stay outside it, but they got to get there. I would imagine you guys are dealing with this harm reduction thing is about the first month everybody's in there.
And I even prior to coming in, I think, Sarah brought up a good point. We send our, the ones that are trying to come in that need to detox off of fentanyl or heroin, they need to do detox prior to coming into here. Like there's the steps, and we've been in detox situations where they weren't completely honest coming in, and we're like 911, here we come, and that process of being able to get them stabilized to even start the process with us, there's steps towards that. That harm reduction is key. Like we have a duty to make sure that they're safe. And ultimately death is their bottom. And that is the truth. I know for me, death was my bottom. Jail's institution and death was my bottom. And, to get to House of Grace, it took steps to get here. It took being in the back of the cop car, but, it being stabbed and beaten and all those things to get you here to be able to get into the place where you can hear. I don't think I heard or saw straight for the first 6 months. I'm still a little kooky, still a little out there sometimes, but I think that's character, but hey, whatever. But there's a point, right, where we can hear and we receive, and that's such a beautiful point, Sarah.
Thank you.
And we did see Melody in various costumes at the retreat. We did.
We did the wave.
Had any and the wave.
Maybe we could do the wave here.
I knew it. I knew she was going to do it. Yes. Melody is one of us she is not part of the glum lot. That's for sure. It's fun. She had everybody doing a wave that was like, we're like, what's going on? And she just took over, but it was uplifting, right, Sean? Remember?
Yeah, I liked it. I was in.
There's blackmail going around from that weekend. I have to. The videos and the pictures are a little concerning, but that's okay.
Oh, and we have a serious videos of you have no idea, Melody, what's in production.
It's a whole segment of the.
You're welcome.
The whole segment.
You're welcome. No problem.
It's one of our recovery recovery TV episodes is just says Melody. Everybody just.
I'm sorry in advance, and you're welcome.
But what an opportunity too for us. Like we're realizing, right, is that because you guys are doing that, it does then when there is an audience then now that when Sean and I come in or our team comes in, we have an opportunity to reach another group of people that that could really benefit from the answer. So getting them to that place and getting to be able to access this place and then coming in and doing our part. It's really been very, very encouraging to know that there's a whole element of people that we can reach that aren't just the people who say I'm ready and pay the money and come to a retreat. But these are people that didn't even know they were ready. Half of the people, I think, Melody, when we came there, weren't even sure they were ready to do this. And they all sucked up on it. And that was the comment I wanted to make, because you guys told me when I came back that since we came and to that day, nobody had left your program as far as voluntarily walked out.
Nope.
And they do sometimes, right? They do.
I was a little concerned. We brought some people right off the streets into it, and I'm like, okay, well, they're coming, and they're gonna get something. This is their chance, and the newest one, the one that was really just barely a day sober, she's on fire. It is incredible to watch the passion, and she's just like in the big book and just talking about these concepts, and she's like, can I I think it was last week or the week before, she wanted to teach relapse prevention, and I was like, that is incredible that your passion is to be able to give tools, because you've gotten so much. So that, just the passion and the excitement, even from the newest women, I'm like, this is beautiful. From the ones, from the staff to the newest resident, we just all got blessed. And myself too. I have my own journey in this process where I'm like, wow, there were some things that were revealed for me that I got to confess and to take a look at, and just be able to get honest about that. I don't get the time often to sit still. I don't sit still long enough to be able to let God and let the process work. And so I'm just like, dang, like I forget them. I want to be the model. I want to live it out in a way that is so normal for this community. Like, Come on, man. That's what we're doing. We want to live it out. We want to walk it. We want to walk our talk. That's it. It's incredible. So yeah, sorry. A little passionate about this process right now.
See, Casera, if you do your steps, look what you could have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I
was
think
good.
though, what's also important about what Melody's saying is like you didn't just end up where you're at. It wasn't like you snapped your fingers. Here I am talking about this great program. You know, it was like a process, and I think that that's what people kind of like what we talked about in the beginning of this is that people think with harm reduction, it's like they have to go out into the streets and hand out crack pipes. That's not the case. Like sorry, that's my dog. That's not the case. Like you can start with the language you use. Like, do not call someone a junkie. Don't say it. Don't use that. Sorry. Don't use that word. Like, you know, there's someone who uses substances, you know, things like that. And starting small, like I didn't always hold all of these beliefs. Like I'm not going to pretend that I came into this world thinking this way. Not the case. I sat back and I learned and I listened to my coworkers tell their stories and what they had gone through and how they ended up where they are. You know, I listened to the people when we did outreach. I just listened to them. They told me what to do. They were like, get your notepad out. I'm going to tell you what you need to be doing for these people. Okay, like you're here. Okay, I'll listen. And that's how I learned. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like sit down and listen. Like tell your friends to come on Recovery Live. Like listen about what Came to Believe is about. Listen to what Melody's saying. But also don't be afraid to listen to other things. It doesn't mean you have to do it. It doesn't even mean you have to believe in it. Like Sean's not 100% sold, and that's okay. He doesn't have to be, but at least he's at the table. You know, he's listening, and at least he's doing his part to be educated on it, because you can't be against something if you don't even know anything about it. That's my biggest thing. Like just educate yourself, listen to everyone's story, understand what it's like to go through that. Because as someone who isn't in recovery, who wasn't in active use, you know, it's important that I listen. It's important that I learn, that I understand those feelings, what people went through, and I stay in my lane. I'm not up here pretending to know everything, because I don't, because I wasn't in that position. But I do enjoy helping and being in the position to learn and to understand. And I think that's the biggest part of harm reduction, is just listen. That's easy. You have ears. You don't have to do anything else. Just sit there and listen, and then work from there.
Well, we had a great show today. It was a great conversation again. I mean, we are just learning and growing, and we're hoping that you guys out there are gathering some nuggets of wisdom from us. And if you're ready, and anything that we're saying sounds like something you haven't heard before, that this thing could happen in a weekend, go on Came to Believe Recovery, Came to Believe Law, recovery.org, and check out one of our retreats. If you're in the San Jose area and you know somebody who needs some help, who's out on the street and needs it, I know that Melody's out there waiting, and she can help you if you need it. Reach out to House of Grace if you didn't. Reach out to city teams. These are a great bunch of people with a heart for the least, the last, and the lost, doing that great commission just like we're doing. And we all have our piece in this with the goal of ending addiction. So, Melody, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I'd love for you to come on again. We'll stay in touch. I know we're going to be back out there at city teams going through it again. And we shall see you very soon. Thanks for coming on. Peace. And now we want to do t-shirt giveaway, right, Casera? I mean, Sean, somebody.
Boom. Let's put it up on the screen. Remember, hashtag recovered. Woo. Pretty pumped about it.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a little look. We got 9 entries today. That's pretty good. 9 chances to win a t-shirt. What could this t-shirt do for somebody, Tom?
I don't know. What do you mean? What could it do for somebody?
There was so many different. It could help spread the word. It could help sponsor someone through the retreat. It could cover you up if you're cold, if you're in a spot where people don't want to see you without a shirt on. It could benefit the people around you.
Oh, harm reduction.
Harm reduction. You get it.
There you go.
You get it. You know, when Casera was saying that she doesn't know what it's like to be an addict, it just reminded me of when we tried to get Ty from 3 Summers to go on a bender in order to fully get into the
yeah, that's right.
mindset of what's going on in the documentary. So unfortunately, he struggled to find a place to pick anything up. So we aborted that mission pretty quick. But all right, well, I'm going to pull this up and get on to some t-shirt giveaway. Get somebody immortalized in the Recovery Live winner circle. I did see somebody put hashtag Winners Club. I'm guessing they're a previous winner, so that is a thing. Oh, yeah.
Brad Almond.
He's from Utah.
Our buddy from Utah. Yeah.
Look at take it. You are the champion, my friend. You can wear this t-shirt till the end. Brad Almond winner. You might want to take a screenshot of that, man. That's really, I'd put that as my Facebook profile picture. Maybe even my cover photo. Boom. There you have it.
Very good. Well, join us next week, guys, for another episode of Recovery Live. We'll be talking more subjects, all subjects recovery. And again, if you're interested in attending a retreat or any more information, go to our website and reach out to us. And we got those retreats coming up, 2 in California, 1 in Wisconsin, and 1 in Florida. We are going to get a virtual one, Sean, too. We're talking about it. Right, Casera? We're trying to figure out how to do it, but we're going to get a virtual one back here soon so that we can meet that demographic, as we know there is, that people that can't even get anywhere, they just can get online. And it's been so successful. How many have you been to, Sean?
Virtuals?
0, right? Casera? 0.
I spoke at one.
Sean,
I spoke at a virtual.
Oh, under duress.
Remember, I was when the masks
Under
were
duress.
first. Remember, I wore a mask during my talk to be funny because it was a new thing, like it was brand new.
Under duress.
Oh my gosh, that's all you got to say.
15. That's all I got to say.
All right.
All right. Well, we're ready for to close it out today. We'll be back next week. Sean, take us out.
Well, Tom, it was really nice to have you on. So I will take us out. You guys, living your life in misery is just such a crappy thing to do. I mean, you only get one of them. So to find a way out, to find a way to come and to live an existence that's causes you to feel fully alive and fully full of potential and destiny and everything that everybody wants. We want to have purpose in our life. And one of the best ways to start moving forward in that is to put your old life behind you and start living in the freedom that the founders of AA found back in 1935, 38, 1940, and the millions and millions of people who went through the steps and became recovered. So we're here to offer that to you. The best way to do this is by helping us spread the message. And the way you can help us spread the message is by sharing this podcast, sharing this Facebook post, a YouTube video, going out there and helping us spread the word that there is a way that you can go from point A, which is a crappy life, to point B, which is an awesome life in such a short period of time, just 3 days, like you see in the banner. So go to CaneToBelieveRecovery.org, find out how you can get involved and change your life. Otherwise, we'll see you here next Friday, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Recovery Live.